The Black Ops 7 beta is in full swing. It's an early access portion, so we only get access to a limited number of maps, weapons, leveling, but I want to kind of give a little bit of feedback right off the rip. I've already had a chance to play 5 hours. I reached the level cap for the first introductory part, and I got to use a variety of weapons, variety of streaks, and I want to kind of give you a little bit of an idea of what my thoughts were for in terms of the pros, some things that are a little bit more neutral, and then some of the cons that are going to be a problem for the game, probably for a lot of different people. So I want to give that insight before you go out of your way to like pre-order or anything like that. I would recommend still playing the open beta or trying to get a beta code, feel it out for yourself and see what it's all about. But this is going to be mainly about the Black Ops 7 portion of me playing the multiplayer both today and some of the early access I had back in August, as well as at COD Next. Some of the pros, I think the movement system is great because it's not necessarily forced. I was a fan of Omni movement in Black Ops 6. I feel like obviously this is going to be very similar to it. There are some nuanced things that are a little bit different that makes it feel a little bit more snappy and responsive, but I'm also glad that the wall jump isn't like a mandatory part of it. You can even disable it, at least for the maps we're in now. When I did get a chance to play at Next and early, there are a few maps where it's a little bit more mandatory that you're going to need to use the wall jump. But overall, you can kind of just turn it off and not feel like you're forced to use it. And it can be a little bit more of a sweaty aggro type of thing if you really want to adapt and use it to kind of jump over your, different players. It does have some limitations though, so it's not completely broken. I like the tuning that they've made with it to make it pretty balanced. I do like the map design. I will say that on some of the modes, it'll be nice once we get out a little mosh pit section, because it'll be nice to have certain modes for specific maps, because some of them are fairly big. These are like, if you put those in BO6, these are easily some of the bigger maps in all of BO6, and this is just a handful. And I've played a few more that we had access to early, and I will say that I haven't had a problem with any of the maps. But again, I think those are going to be preference-based. They'll be able to tune in spawns and stuff like that. Those will always get better as the beta goes on, and eventually when the full game comes out. I think the gameplay, I've had a lot of fun with it. I've gone on, I already dropped over 100 kills, which was a lot of fun. We will get to how sweaty the matches are, which will be in the con section. But as of right now, I've had plenty of moments, even where it's been really competitive matches, both solo and in a party of 4. And it's been super competitive both ways, but that's just kind of part of matchmaking. I've had a lot of fun with it. It does feel fresh, unique, and it doesn't necessarily feel 100% like Black Ops 6, even though I think people will make the argument that it does. But overall, not necessarily in my opinion. Obviously, going from Black Ops 6 to Black Ops 7 without dropping PS4 consoles, the graphic fidelity isn't going to change all that much. Not like we're going to see next year when they upgrade the engine and drop old gen. Overall, it does still like there's an improvement, whether it's just in the gunsmith, the visuals in the menus, or when you're in the game. It does look a little bit clearer, sharper, and just better graphically. One of the biggest changes to the creative class is the overclock system. I like this system. You still got to level things up, so it's not like you just get everything accessed right away. You have to level those up, gain access to them, and then you kind of got to pick and choose. I got to experiment with these for several different tacticals, lethals, field upgrades, streaks, and it definitely, I'm going to already kind of lean towards a specific one or another. I haven't really gotten a lot of choice where it's like, I don't know which one I want just yet. On top of that, I like some of the reworked perk system. The score streaks are a lot of fun. The spawn protection is super limited, which really gives that COD pub stompy feel, which I know not a lot of people are a fan of, but a lot of people are also a fan of, especially when you get going. You get the wraps, they feel amazing, whatever they call them in this game. That's kind of where we're at on my initial impressions. I don't want to go too deep on a ton of pros. I like it. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Significantly more fun than probably I thought I was going to have, even compared to my early sessions, and definitely more fun than I had at COD Next, going against Shotzi, Scump, and whoever the heck is just got the insane gunny on them. Overall, a lot of fun, but we got to go ahead and get over to some of the neutral things before we get into the cons. So, neutral, I think heavily contested every year is going to be aim assist. It didn't get nerfed this time around. It got nerfed in Black Ops 6. It feels the same as Black Ops 6, which is still nerfed relative to pretty much all those other CODs going back to 2019. COD aim assist was drastically different before Modern Warfare 2019, and that implemented a lot of things in the game that I think ruined the franchise. Aim assist changes definitely did that, in my opinion, along with tac sprint, which is also gone. That should have been my pros, but I didn't get there. So overall, it's going to feel like it did in Black Ops 6. People act shocked about it. I don't get that aspect of it, but overall, it's pretty solid. Better information on how to show when the people you're playing against or with are in a party. There were several instances where we would get running and then the other team would just forfeit like all at once. And it was like a full 6-man backed out. I was like, oh, okay, I didn't realize they were in a party. And this is one thing that has always been kind of an issue more as a solo player. It's a shame that they don't drop the mercenary playlist right off the rip. So solo players with solo teammates against solo players, and that's it. You want to play in a party, you can sweat it out. It's all good. Also, just a side note, progression doesn't carry over. This is just something I thought I could throw in there. This isn't a pro necessarily or a con. This is the way it's always done pretty much for betas. The opportunity to play the beta early is essentially a way for you to try out the game, find out if you like it without investing in the full product when it drops November 14th. So I give you an opportunity to play multiplayer, a variety of maps and weapons, level, zombies. That's going to start this weekend. Then you'll have the opportunity to try that out and see how it fits into your play style, what things you like, and if it's going to be worth the asking price, because it's a lot of content. And that doesn't even count the campaign, which we don't have access to until the full launch, which should be at least 16 to 20 hours of gameplay. Now the cons. We got a bit of them, but most of them will kind of be recurring things that the franchise has. There's a little bit of fatigue in these areas as well. Part of that is matchmaking. SBMM is 100% going to be in a Call of Duty title until they announce that it's not. In this particular instance, it is 100% in the beta. No surprise, shocker, right? That's just not how it is. I did manage to get a couple good gameplays, but there was plenty of ones where I was getting like destroyed in the lobby, and that's just kind of how it goes. If you have good games like these, you're gonna be matched up with some crazy sweats that you know, don't take showers or something in your lobby. So that's there. It's kind of one of those things. It does lead to burnout for a lot of people. Currently, it's like one of those things I've accepted. Trade-off, it is what it is. Some may think that the TTK is a little bit too fast. I think it's in a good sweet spot. I think this is a potential con for a lot of people. I think they do need a little bit of balancing, especially on the M8. It has too much consistency at one bursting, even at range, especially if you get your attachments dialed in. It's disgusting, and that'll probably receive a nerf. Everything else still feels pretty good. M15 I tried, the Peacekeeper obviously you see in the gameplay, and a few others. And everything felt fairly balanced, but I haven't tried necessarily every weapon in the game. I think there was a little bit of a technical issues for people getting into the beta. I think some of that's already been resolved, so they've been pretty responsive to that. So I don't know, maybe that specific stuff there. I think there's a little bit of troubleshooting issues with the secure boot, which is a W, that they added secure boot in the other TMP2 or TPM2 or whatever the heck. That's supposed to help with cheaters, which we'll talk a little bit about as well. But overall, there are some technical issues and friction for players trying to get onto the game, even though it shouldn't really be all that much friction. The next part, which is part of the fatigue as well, is the weapon leveling is extremely slow. Generally, the beta, it's like that. I don't know why. I don't know what the heck takes them so long to tune that. They have decade plus of leveling weapons. It's like, how do we figure out that we can make the weapon leveling faster? It should be significantly faster, especially in the beta. There's people only using one weapon. They've played for 7 hours and they still haven't max leveled that weapon. That is a problem, and that is not a good thing, especially when someone is legitimately trying to play the game to just experience the game. They don't need to no-life it, but they want a decent build, mess around with the gun. There you go. But there's also miniguns that are fine just by their base levels, so I think they've done a much better job on that end. At least the base version being pretty good. The next one, doors are gone, but they're kind of not, because these sliding doors are everywhere, and I didn't really find them a huge problem, but they kind of are one of those rub points where maybe you're not going to be able to shoot them open like we've become accustomed to, or like throw a nade into them because they don't open up. There's a few of those instances where there's just issues with the doors, and there's far too many, especially in the maps we've already had a chance to play. And although I'm a fan of the perk system and a lot of the changes, one of the biggest gripes is dexterity being like a crutch mandatory perk. The game definitely feels night and day difference with and without this perk. It is so mandatory in my opinion that basically there will never be another perk used if you're not going to use perk greed or specialist. In that category, it's way too competitive. And if they want to further distinguish this game from Black Ops 6, that should definitely be mandatory. So if there's nothing else that changes, even though I'd like a few things, That should be the biggest change that absolutely makes it into the game, and dexterity be the main perk, and then I'll be able to actually choose something else in that category. That'll tie in with the other one, which is it feels too similar to Black Ops 6. I have avoided using the game without dexterity, but I would imagine it is very similar without dexterity. So dexterity is like that game changer. If you want to further distinguish Black Ops 6 from Black Ops 7, among the other changes that are already happened that are maybe not as noticeable, that change would be the biggest difference maker to the game, in my opinion. And then that's going to cycle us back around to some of the other issues with the secure boot stuff, and that is ricochet. Obviously, those are attempts to help mitigate some cheating, and I've seen several clips already on Twitter about people showing they're running into cheaters. Not like an insane number, but there's more than probably should be for a beta. I know it's free to play or people can get codes, but it's just too accessible. Even if they're going to shut people down, they got to be doing a better job to build any kind of trust. Like I've said in previous videos, even if it worked flawlessly, it would probably take 6 months to a year for them to have any kind of trust from the community, because right now they don't. So we'll see kind of how it goes. Having a lot of fun with them and playing zombies this weekend as well. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. See you on the next one. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day.